Yo, what is up everyone? It's your boy OJ here, and today we're going to be talking about Resident Evil 7, Devil May Cry, and Dragon's Dogma from Kibbity Capcom. Yes, Capcom. My boys, sometimes, they can be really good, and a lot of times they can be really... But anyway, Capcom. Let's first start with Resident Evil 7. So, when asked about Resident Evil 7, a Capcom or Resident Evil producer said, stay tuned. We can't really talk about it, but stay tuned for more news. So that's really cool because Resident Evil 6 sucked and they really need to redeem it themselves. But Resident Evil Revelations was good, and Resident Evil Revelations 2 was meh. It was okay. It was okay. Better than Resident Evil 6. Everything's better than Resident Evil 6. So I really want to see what they're going to do to evolve this franchise, take it to the next step, because I think that they tried to do too much in Resident Evil 6. It was like one mechanic after another. They added the dodge rolling in, they added the crazy combat, which has never been a part of Resident Evil, to where you can just fight people. It was like Street Fighter out there in Resident Evil 6, which was weird. I was like, why are they doing this? And it didn't feel good either. The dodge rolling all over the place, just all that stuff. Like, they really need to go back to the roots of somewhere between Resident Evil Revelations and Resident Evil 4/5. I think that's where they should go in there. Tank controls don't necessarily need to make a comeback. They can kind of just leave that out. So possibly take the Resident Evil Revelations route there. But I don't think that you should just be able to dodge roll all over the place. I think it should be possibly contact sensitive like it was in Resident Evil 4 and 5. And I think Resident Evil Revelations, it's like if you press the joystick up at the right moment, you can dodge an attack. So they can even take that mechanic and bring that back in to the game for Resident Evil 7, but they can't make it like Resident Evil 6. Whatever they do, do not make it like Resident Evil 6 as far as the mechanics go for combat, as far as hand-to-hand combat, and for like dodging and stuff like that. Just don't do that and you'll be good. So Resident Evil 7, you know, stay tuned for news. That's all we have right now. I just want to make sure that they do a good job with this stuff. So here's the thing. I think Resident Evil 6 did have some good stuff in it. So they can take away some stuff. So like the RPG mechanics in there, to where you can get, or not RPG, but just more like leveling mechanics that they've always had in Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil Revelations had a nice upgrading system to where you can get different things and add them onto your guns and make it more powerful, make it more RPG-ish at times. And even like the multiplayer mode in Resident Evil Revelations was really cool. That was kind of like a little pseudo RPG as well. So just bringing that stuff back, that'd be cool. I do want to see some type of co-op throughout the game. I think co-op is a good mechanic, and I think Resident Evil Revelations 2 did a good job of that. And if you can bring that back for the next Resident Evil, but actually make it good, make it good, make it to where it's fun, and make it to where it's better than Resident Evil Revelations 2. I would really like that, because I think the co-op mechanic is fun, and I think that it just needs to be more fleshed out as far as single player co-op and stuff like that. So looking forward to seeing what they can do with that. But other than that, we really don't have much news on it. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Dragon's Dogma, and what else was it? DMC, yeah, DMC Devil May Cry, or just, no, sorry, Devil May Cry. And really, Capcom has no plans for these games. No current plans for Dragon's Dogma or Devil May Cry. Which is sad, They just released a free-to-play Dragon's Dogma across PS4, I think PC and PS3. I wonder when that's coming over to America at some point. They probably already said, but that's just a free-to-play game. I mean, it's still cool. It seems like people in Japan are having fun with it. But at the same time, I think they said it's crossed like 1 million downloads or something like that, or it's near that. I'm not really sure what they said about Dragon's Dogma online. But I would like to see a new Dragon's Dogma game. I think a new one would be good, but maybe it's not worth the risk as far as what you need to develop for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So it's up in there. Now, Devil May Cry. This franchise, I mean, and really this franchise's downfall was just because of one game. There was one game that caused this franchise to downfall. This game. This game literally caused the whole franchise to just fall apart because people hated the new style of Dante. They just hated it. They didn't want to play the game. They didn't like that Ninja Theory was developing it. They didn't like that it was 30 frames per second. There was a lot of stuff people really hated about it, and it really showed in the sales because the game did not sell up to par. Obviously, Capcom was not happy with the sales. I mean, it ended up doing okay after discounts and stuff like that, but it didn't reach where Devil May Cry 4 reached, and they were trying to grab a bigger audience, especially here in North America. So what can they do? What can Capcom do to revitalize this franchise? And I really think they need to kiss and make up with Platinum Games. I mean, this is something that they need to do. They need to grab Hideki Kamiya. They need to talk to him. They need to get the team, some of the guys together that made the original Devil May Cry, and say, here you go, here's the Devil May Cry franchise. Please restore it to its former glory. Please put it back to where it was at. Because ever since Devil May Cry 1 and even Devil May Cry 3, I'm not sure if the game, it's just been shaky. It's been, Devil May Cry 4 was great, but even fans had their complaints with that one. So Devil May Cry 2 was horrible. That's the worst one in the franchise. But they really need to let Hideki Kamiya take over and do what he needs to do to bring this franchise back if they want any chance at bringing back the old fans, because I've talked to so many Devil May Cry fans over the years and they say they're done. They say that they're done because Capcom didn't listen to us. Capcom is lame. I can't believe they did that. Yet everybody complaining. They didn't really change much. They changed a little bit of Dante's appearance, but still they didn't do the whole thing, so they didn't change him back. So it's one of those things to where they really lost the trust, and the fans are really pissed off, and they're really holding that grudge to this day. People are still pissed. I mean, the fans are still mad all these years later. So it's one of those things where Capcom really needs to apologize. They need to go back and say, hey, look, this is who we're bringing back to put on the game, and we're going to bring it back to its former glory. We're going to bring it back to what Dante is, and we're going to continue the story where Hideki Kamiya left off. Alright, so those are my thoughts, guys. What do you guys think about Resident Evil 7, about Dragon's Dogma, and Devil May Cry? I would love to hear them in the comment section below. Alright, so that wraps it up for this video. Make sure you hit that like button if you did like it. Lets me know you guys want more content just like this one. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for more news, reviews, trailers, tips, and tricks. Thank you so much, guys, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.